Welcome to the Live 41 TV, or the 41 TV Live. I really don't know what it's called. We'll just go with 41 TV Live, I guess. Live 41 TV. It doesn't matter. We're going to do a Pro League-ish type setup here. King of the Hill format where winner stays on. And this is a game between the Korean name that I can't read, Stars, versus NBC Game. I wonder if I can translate that on Google Translate real quick. Let's see. See if anything pops up. Google Translate. The tech language. Oh, Woonjin Stars. That was surprisingly easy to actually translate. Woonjin Stars versus NBC Game, which is pretty cool. So for Woonjin Stars, we've got Gchi, who is the yellow Protoss, and I have verification here, so we know this for a fact. And he's going up against Tyson, the red Protoss, in a PvP. So to kind of give you some background here, this is a 4 vs 4, they call it. They call it a clan match. I call it Pro League-ish type format because it feels like Pro League. And it's Gchi, Piano, Zero, and Jang versus Tyson, Busan, C, and Jaehoon. Now, Gchi, Piano, Zero are PTZ, respectively, and Jang Protoss as well. Tyson, Busan, C, and Jaehoon are PPTP. That's way funnier than it should be, mostly because I'm immature. And but really, what's worth mentioning here is that NBC Game is Protoss, Terran, Protoss versus Protoss, Terran, Zerg, Protoss. So I'm curious if the mixture of having the Zerg in here will throw this in the favor of Woonjin Stars, who typically we've seen Zerg do really well against Protoss. So depending on how it goes, maybe Zero carries the game at the end. Hard to say. Glad to hear you're doing well, Styles. Glad to hear it. I have no... That doesn't even look like Korean on here, by the way. I have no idea what this is. But it looks like they're playing on Fighting Spirit. Both are on the top side of the map. Looks like we'll see Zealots pop out for both player early on, and they are crossing each other in scouting positions down on the bottom. But that may have been enough for Gchi to assume that... who's he playing against? Tyson, right? Yeah, Tyson. I just wanted to make sure I got it right. Tyson's not a guy that I've casted much in the past, so I don't really know. Well, I guess I can look to see how he's been doing lately. Although this doesn't take me to Liquid, does it? Oh, it does. Perfect. He's got a... What's his rank here? It doesn't have a win percentage for some reason. Oh, maybe under record in games. All right, he's got a 45.5% win rate. I don't have his breakout by PvP. His last 10 games PvP, he's gone 50-50. So Gchi, on the other hand, is kind of an older name. He was around for a long, long time. And Gchi has a... Let's see what his record is versus Protoss. Jeez, 11% win rate. And overall, he's at a 43% win rate. So, I mean, statistically, there's more games in favor of Tyson, which I didn't realize he played that many games. Maybe I just don't recognize him. No, I really just don't remember him. But it looks like Gchi is probably not the favorite here, at least based off of Team Liquipedia statistics. I don't know if you guys can hear my shoulder cracking or not. But Gchi does have the advantage already in terms of map control and keeping Tyson back in his base. Now, both players at this point are... Neither player can close it out one way or the other at this point in the game, so that's not really a concern. And we are going to see the tech trees expand from here. We are going to get the Robo facility coming in for Tyson, and Gchi, on the other hand, I think he's got one as well. If they click back on his base, I'll tell you. Sneaky Probe over there is trying to get a free scout or see when units are moving out. Almost gets taken out, just loses all of his shield anyway, and so he'll be able to take another free hit without too much worry. And Gchi is going to go for the observatory route, so that clearly was a robotics facility before. Also a pylon in the top right to try to spot early on any incoming shuttles or any type of harassment that might be heading his way. Tyson, on the other hand, is going for... Are they going to show it? I'm actually assuming he's going Reaver, but they haven't showed it yet to my knowledge. And now it's the tables have turned, and Gchi the one back in his base, and Tyson's got some map control with a single Dragoon over here. Again, not really a big deal here, but he is maintaining map presence, and you'll see if Gchi decides to move out at all in the near future. Looks like we are going to see a support bay coming from Tyson here. He's got a shuttle out, so it'd be very unlikely that he was going Observer next. And yeah, there it is. So it was a support bay. Very good. He is making an observatory now, but obviously he's probably not going to wait out for that before moving out with a Reaver. Typically, as soon as a Reaver pops out, they head out. But Gchi's going to get a full scout on this, or he should anyway. I'll be surprised if he doesn't see it. It looks like he's a little wary of there being another observer. And he should have caught that. He should have caught that. He hasn't seen any observers. He realizes that he's being moved out on. And Tyson's not actually going to go for a drop here. He's going to push down the front door with the Reaver and use the Dragoons as protection. And Gchi has actually gone for the expansion. It looks like Tyson's lining up to do so. But timing-wise, this could be perfect for Tyson to move out. But there is a Reaver out at this point for Gchi as well, and the problem is one Reaver is getting three. Oh! One Reaver was getting 3 Dragoons with a hit, the other one was getting 2, and it looks like Gchi is taking the brunt of that attack, and very nice micro, actually, keeping that Reaver alive against hits from... Oh, no! Last second it picks it up, and he does take out the Reaver. It looks like he's going to lose both the Reaver and the shuttle here, but he is up 3 Dragoons inside the base of Gchi, and he's going to force his way up the ramp with some solid micro, and it looks like this could be game already. 5 goons out on the field here. There is a Reaver. He's trying to buy enough time for a Scarab to pop out, and a good Scarab will certainly kill this, but he's going to force a dud. Oh, no, he forces a dud on himself. That's incredibly unfortunate, and he's forced to cancel the Nexus. He's also not mining nearly as much as he had hoped, and in the meantime, Tyson has taken a natural expansion of his own. So, unfortunately for Gchi, he is incredibly far behind at this point, and Tyson's sitting pretty. He's got a decent force of Dragoons, ensuring that no expansion is taken. He can see up the ramp with this observer perfectly. I don't think he sniped the other one. It looks like the other one's at his natural expansion, getting its own eyeful of what's going on here. And he has started his drone transfer, and he's officially up in economy. The timing is past for when he is weak. And considering how much damage he did, it really wouldn't matter at any point in that exchange. Now, the one thing Gchi's got going for him is the double Reaver. If he gets some really clutch Scarabs where he hits like 4, if not 5 Dragoons at once, which is incredibly difficult to do, then yeah, sure, he's back in this. But if they get sniped, it's over. It's pretty much game over. And it looks like Gchi's under pressure, but he has not moved out yet. And he's just getting into position here. And honestly, I think Tyson is more than happy to just play this game. But Gchi is going for a Reaver drop behind. Interesting. So he wants to fight him on low ground to engage him. And it's the most painful thing ever, ferrying units with a slow shuttle. I always hated doing that. But he's going to be sadly... he's going to be pretty sad anyway once he finds out. Hey, Winzera! Thanks for following the pup, man, and testing out our new sound here officially. I love it. It worked out well. But yeah, he's going to be sad to find that there's a fairly decent number of Dragoons, although he's got a pretty solid number himself here as well. I mean, but no, he's pretty outclassed in terms of goons on goons, and he's going to be forced back before Gchi can do anything. Gchi drops the Reaver, but it looks like the Reaver is sniped. The Reaver is being microed pretty well, on the other hand, for Tyson, and it looks like he's going to let that drop, but it's not going to matter. It's probably going to be Gchi right there. I don't know why they're switching colors at the last second, but they are. But no, actually, Gchi decides that he's going to continue to fight here. Nope, GG. All right. Sexy number 1, Gchi, has failed to achieve victory, which means Tyson moves on to round number 2, because this is King of the Hill format. So We'll move on to game 2 in just a moment here. On to game number 2, we have Tyson, who is the bottom right, so we'll wait for a second there, going up against Piano, a.k.a. Organ, a.k.a. Myth.Siva, or Siva, I don't know. Han.Pose is actually the Protoss player in the bottom right, so this is his apparent color in-game, his true color, and Myth is apparently dark blue, but they show up as yellow and red. But yeah, Tyson's going to be in the bottom right, and it looks like they are once again playing on Fighting Spirit. This time they are incredibly cross-position. It makes it look so far when you look at it like this. And this is our first PVT of the night. Actually, it's just our second game, so it's not hard to be the first PVT. The first one was a PvP. And with Tyson taking out Gchi fairly easily, I would think that he's probably a strong contender in this as well. Looking at we'll go to the TLPD here for a second and look at the accomplishments of Mr. Piano, aka Organ. And he's at a record in games. Let me click that. He's at a 60% win rate, and he's had a pretty good run against... he's had a pretty terrible run against Protoss in recent games at a 46% win rate. Versus Zerg, he's 80%. Wow. That's pretty big, actually. But yeah, he struggles most against Protoss. So in terms of this matchup with 3 Protoss to go against, this is definitely not his strong suit. But that's okay. We'll give him some slack here and give him the benefit of the doubt that he's got a strong chance in this match. We talked about PvP stats for Tyson before. I didn't actually talk about his PvT, though. Versus Terran, he's 50-50. So same record. He was 50-50 against Protoss, and he's 50-50 against Terran, with his win rate against Zerg being abysmal at a 35%. So pretty standard for what we've been seeing in the meta anyway currently, which is pretty, I don't know, it just seems like Zerg are destroying Protoss in general, and Terran are destroying Zerg. And Protoss Terran seems to be the most even of the matches that I've watched anyway. Anyway, we are going to see a factory coming out for the Terran player, so he's going to go for the quick tank route most likely. Or you could go Vultures as well. We are going to get range for the Dragoons on the Protoss side of things. And that will allow him to potentially snipe a tank or so, and put some pressure on him if he eventually scouts out. Very late scout coming out of Tyson here. He's clearly very comfortable with his position on Fighting Spirit. And I'm curious if he'll go cross-map based on how long it took for the Terran scout to come in. Now, I'm not sure if the SCV saw range being upgraded or not. He could probably assume there's a good chance. Looks like we are going to see Vulture play instead of the tank. And it's likely that he'll get 1 or 2 before moving on to a Machine Shop. And we do have... Oh, there's a Machine Shop right there, so curious if he'll get Spider Mines or go for a tank. He might go tank Spider Mine, actually, which is very effective against low numbers of Dragoons. And he's not blocking the ramp. I mean, so that's something that a Vulture run by early on could be incredibly difficult to deal with. He does finally take out that scouting SCV at the top right of the map. And it looks like he also knows where his opponent is at this point. Actually, is he scouting bottom left? No, he was just looking out for Vultures running around. Range not complete yet. It looks like that Vulture may actually get a run-by going here and get a free scout on the base. But he's going to run right into a Dragoon that blocks his path pretty well. And range is done now. So a couple more shots, and that Vulture will actually go down pretty quickly. So he is going to chase that Vulture back. You know, Vultures without speed are not incredibly fast, but they're fast enough to outpace a Dragoon or 2. So yeah, looks like we are going to see Spider-Mine play. No tanks moving out. And that's a great way to get some map presence and map control early on. Force the Observer rather than Reaver play, delay that a little bit. And also protect against Reaver drops in the back of the mineral line or something like that in his base. So it's a good route to go for sure. but it looks like it's going to set the game up to be more of a mid-game range focus, at least to start. At least mid-game. I mean, it could certainly progress into the super epic late game, but God help us if it does, because we casted a few TVTs last weekend that I don't think I could handle too many more of those. It would be a bit painful. A bit. Enjoyable, but masochistic. You know what I mean? Anyway, expansion is down for both players at this point, although it looks like the Protoss has actually completed his, whereas Piano has just started to build his. Pretty good placement of mines over here in terms of scouting mines and seeing anything that might be heading out randomly around the map. And a dropship's coming in, which is a very common play. We've been seeing a 4 vulture drop, but trying to find a nice open spot to drop in undetected to maximize damage can be a struggle on smaller bases. And honestly, Tyson's positioned pretty well to fend this off quickly. It looks like an observer's heading out at this point as well, although the observer's not going to spot this. And it looks like he may actually, he is going to sneak this in without too much of an issue. Try to distract up front and run behind, but Tyson sniffed it out for the most part and is able to focus down on it before any major damage is done. But he may... No, the observer's right there. I thought he was going to take at least a hit. Now, we are getting some kills, actually, for those vultures. There was one on the first vulture and at least 1 or 2 on the other one. But not major value. It's not going to really put Tyson behind for the investment made by Piano over here. Piano is going to get a good eyeful of everything that's going on at the front door of... I'm sorry. Tyson's going to get a good eyeful of everything that's going on in the front door of Piano, which is a couple of tanks out. He is going to see academies coming, or armories coming, and so he's got to get out before scan is completed, of course, but he's got plenty of time before that. And I would assume that's another factory. I mean, we've got to start seeing the factory count jump up here to 3 and 4 now that he's got that expansion going. Tyson continuing to play defensively, realizes that dropship play is still something that he's got to be wary of. We are going to see arbiters too, 2 base arbiters potentially, and it looks like he is going to be prepared pretty well for this. It'd be nice if he had an observer back there to get a lot of free damage on that dropship, but not going to be the case. Only a little bit is had. Oh, Spider Mine gets a lot of free damage on those Dragoons, doing some serious damage to one of them, forcing Tyson to back up and wait for backup support from a observer. There's the Arbiter Tribunal at this point. It looks like he is going to do this on 2 bases to start anyway. And we do begin to see factory number 3 and 4 be made. The building before must have been the engineering bay that I saw that was only partially built. Spider Mines are protecting the 3rd base of the Protoss, and he's got to clear that out to, at the very least, put Piano in the dark to whether or not he's expanding, and this will help hide his Arbiter play. However, I would assume that this has been scanned already, so even if it's hidden now, I would imagine it's found out soon. Not going to be terribly difficult to deal with. We did see an armory out earlier, so he'll be able to make Goliaths fairly easily. And if he gets even a couple out there, he'll be able to defend against us without too much of an issue. Yep, so Protoss is going to put down their 3rd base. And we are up to 4 we're going up to 5 factories. It looks like 6 factories for the Terran player. Again, all of which is going to be scouted by that observer. We're on 5 gateways at the same time. 6 gateways. All right, so he's caught up in number of gateways, the number of factories being built anyway, and probably in reaction to what he saw there, for that matter. Dropship once again trying to do some level of harassment, potentially at the 3rd base at the 6 o'clock location for Tyson, which, depending what's in that dropship, could be fairly effective at taking out a building, but it should have just been scouted. There is a pylon block in place, so nothing will be able to run away that direction. And it looks like Tyson feels the need to clean his potential 4th out, as there were some spider mines laid down there. But I can't imagine he's going to expand there right now, although I might be wrong. He might be fairly aggressive with his expos. He's already... Well, he never took the third for that matter, so I'm not sure what the benefit is. Looks like 2 dropships are coming in this time, at least one, and maybe another backup unit. It's hard to say. With a few vultures running in again to try to get some kills, it looks like they'll be cleaned up fairly quickly. He gets 1 kill on, looks like 3 kills total between the 2 vultures. I thought he had 1 on each, but the fat-ass Dragoons had some difficulty getting between the pylon and the nexus, so obviously that didn't happen. And a decent force of vultures are now heading out across the map, probably to deal with the 6 o'clock location that does not yet exist, actually. Oh, it does now. Okay, so he just dropped the nexus there, and he can try to harass that down, as well as keep the bottom left of the map mined up. For the very least, scouting purposes, but also for future run-by purposes and taking out any potential probes heading over there to take that base. There's a decent number of tanks out on the field at this point, so Dragoons on their own are not going to win this. But the Arbiter will help, both between stasis and recall. You can recall directly on tanks. You can obviously just use your cloaking ability. However, with 2 command centers, he should be able to deal with that without too much of an issue. And he's got a decent number of Zealots in the mix now at this point as well. Looks like Sacrificial Dragoon was heading in, but instead no, a Zealot will take the damage. And actually, the Protoss is a pretty decent force, stronger than I realized. Maybe he was just spread out a bit there. And he's going to start pushing in against Piano, who, by the way, is trying to start setting up a static D in the middle of the base here. But using those goons to clear out mines is of course, helpful. The more diligent you are at that task, the higher likelihood that you will remain in the game at the very least for a longer period of time. When you get crazy value hits out of those because you weren't paying attention and you just lose like 8 Dragoons, I mean, that can put you out of a game. Science vessel out on the field at this point. Observer going to get clipped very shortly by Dragoons, I would imagine. Curious if he'll go for stasis on the science vessel or onto the tanks. It looks like he is opting for the tanks at the moment. Yep, he does. He gets 3 of them. Defense matrix goes down, and there's a large meat shield with these vultures. But the tank line is deep, and I don't think he's going to break through this ultimately. He's probably... big hit, and that's what I was talking about with those spider mines. You got to be careful. So yeah, Protoss forced to back off here as Tyson takes a couple heavy hits. But still, he did a pretty good job at thinning out the number of tanks for the most part. But the position is solid for Mr. Piano. He does finally take out that observer as well, which is obviously something that needed to be done. Take out the trash. And Terran's moving up to 3 bases here. So Tyson's going to have to start thinking about where does he want to put his 4th. Now, something you have to take into consideration is where is the current army positioned. And you don't want your bases to be split in half, which will allow him to push one side while defending on the other fairly easily. Of course, recall can help defend that without too much of an issue. Hey, Anti-Social Monkey. Another big attack coming in here. Stasis goes down and grabs a lot of units, although most of them are vultures. And it looks like Tyson really just posturing here, forced to move back because he does not get too much with that. Vultures alone is not going to help him. +1 upgrade on those tanks. Damage only upgrade. And, he is running around. We got an observer over here to help deal with the mines. It looks like he doesn't even lose the 1 Dragoon. And we might have a base race situation here as Piano wraps around the right side as he sees the Protoss units heading to the left. But he might get caught out here with the tank line exposed, and that is a lot of tanks, by the way, as... Wow, Tyson is closing in on this, and he gets a stasis out in the front, and another stasis maybe from behind. It looks like those are 2 separate stasis, and he is going to head in here with Zealots directly on top of the tanks. The tank numbers are thinning out, but unfortunately so are the Dragoon numbers with blue goo everywhere. But the units left are vultures. Vultures versus versus Zealots and Dragoons without the support of the tanks, and with support of Arbiters. And obviously, vultures don't hit arbiters, so those arbiters are just going to get free damage for a while, as those tanks coming in from behind are going to try to secure position. But there's no Goliaths, and more units are coming in for the Protoss from behind, more Zealots and Dragoons to deal with this. And it looks like they're going to get they're going to be able to go right on top of the tanks as well. And the arbiters are actually doing a lot of damage to the tanks. And the Terran is losing all of his forces. Finally, Goliaths are out there, but it looks like the damage has really been done, and it's going to be much more difficult for the Terran player to rebuild his force compared to the Protoss player. He's going to be forced to turtle again, and this may give the Protoss player the opportunity to head up to the 12 o'clock location and take out that expansion, while taking the third base himself. And he cleans it up. It has been an erased force. I mean, everything is gone. That was pretty solid from Tyson there. I'm actually kind of impressed. I thought he was in trouble, but he handled that well. And I think the flank really had value there, as the tanks were splitting their attack in so many directions that Splash wasn't really receiving benefit out of this. Looks like we've got close to 9 or 10 gateways at this point for the Protoss player. And he's really got to start considering taking this third here. Vultures are going to run up to the 3 o'clock, though, and snuff that one out before anything can happen. And he'll be forced to clean out mines again, heading up to that 3 o'clock location. All right, so that observer is going to see everything, of course. Unfortunately, he does lose a Dragoon still in the process, but he will be able to clear out the rest of these mines fairly easily and potentially retake that base, or he could move to the bottom left, but that would be scouted out by the mines that are in the bottom left at this point. However, he is even with the Terran, and he really needs to go a base up if he's going to stay ahead in this game long term. In the meantime, Terran is going up to 6, maybe 7, maybe 8 factories, at least 7. We already know he's got science facilities. He's mined out at his main, whereas Protoss is not, which also tells me that Protoss is getting solid value out of all 3 bases and the higher income and throughput that he's seeing compared to the Terran player. But at this point, Piano's rebuilt most of his forces, so he's back in pretty good position, and he's getting a 4th. That will put him ahead of Tyson here. But it looks like Tyson's going to drop down a nexus of his own at the 3 o'clock, and so base-to-base numbers are even. Heavy in the Vulture department here. It looks like some of those are trying to drop some mines, but they get taken out before they can do any significant damage. And a recall goes off at the 12 o'clock location, and a big one that's going to force all of the units to back off, and there is no defense here. The question is, can he snipe anything as a result of this? And it looks like, instead, Piano's just going to push down the front door. And in the meantime, there are a lot of Dragoons here, but they get EMP'd trying to deal with this force. Now, he does get a stasis down on the tanks before they're able to siege up, and it's down to only 5 tanks there that are able to actually attack. And I think this is going to get cleaned up as well for the Terran, despite the low number of Dragoons here. He is on top of them and sniping them. And there are Zealots in the main base. He is going to clean this up, and he can just hang out on top of the tanks. And now a second recall, a minor one, but a second recall nonetheless, to reinforce that position at the front. And who cares about the stasis units? Let them go. And Dragoons are fighting SCVs directly. Now, they are taking some pretty serious shots there from the SCVs, but they're not going to get taken out. And wow, GG from Piano. He admits defeat, and the Protoss Tyson moves on to game number 3. Not too bad. Not too bad. See you in game 3. All right, game number 3. Tyson is in his 3rd match, his worst matchup, against Zerg, going up against Zero, who recently we've been watching have pretty good success in some of the other leagues. So this will probably be the biggest test so far for the Protoss players. They play a game 3 match on Circuit Breaker. And to start with, it looks like we are going to see both on the top half of the map. Zerg is scouting in the right direction, the short direction. Looks like nothing too funny going on yet, so no cheese to speak of. And yeah, we'll get right into it, I guess. So Tyson, I'll be honest, I'm impressed. He's been playing pretty well so far in the games we've watched. Very solid against Piano there. Going up against Zero, let's see what Zero's win rate is against Protoss. I'm very curious, actually. He's at a 73% win rate against Protoss. And again, Tyson is at... That's not Tyson. Who is that? That's Piano. Tyson is at, again, only 35% win rate against Zerg. So, odds are heavily in favor of Zero. But based on what we've seen from Tyson, He might be able to pull it out, actually. I've been pretty impressed by his play, and it's possible. Zerg is going to go for standard 12 hatch, it looks like. Protoss, on the other hand, we have no indication of what build he's going. It looks like it looks like a Forge Fast Expand, actually. Okay. But again, that's going to get scouted fairly quickly by the Zerg, and we'll see if Zero adjusts to that in any way. Protoss goes for his expansion before he goes for the Forge. That is risky. Wow. That is really risky. And he's probably crapping his pants a little bit as he sees the Overlord head in his direction. Because the Forge is only being dropped now. So Zero is aware. There is a timing window here of pressure available to Zero to try to take out this base. Because they're close positions, and if that spawning pool finishes in time, he could get damage done before any cannons get warped in. But honestly, it looks like Tyson is kind of safe at the moment. He is going to get a cannon going before the spawning pool completes, and that should give him enough time to deal with this. In the meantime, we are seeing 3 hatches. 4 hatches! Oh my god, we are seeing 4 hatches from Zero. What is he doing here? This is crazy. That is 4 hatches, right? That's not my imagination down there in the bottom left for the Zerg. Unless it's like a random neutral building. I wish they would show it. And we're seeing standard build in the meantime from Tyson as a result of that fast expansion. And that was a pretty fast expansion. He went probably 14 Nexus there before getting that Forge down. And he does have a single cannon to help defend against us at this point. Hatchery number 2 is done for the Zerg player. And Zero's got his first set of lings out to try to deal with this probe. Probe is going to see the 3rd base as well. But if this is a base over here, he is unaware of it. And I'm not sure he has any reason to believe it's worth scouting that area as he goes back and forth. But he is going to head around, so maybe he will scout it. No, I think that's in the low ground. So actually he's okay. Cybernetics Core going down. Curious if he'll go the Corsair route or not. Corsair DTs is very popular against Zerg. And I would say it's strong, but we haven't seen anything that's been really strong against Zerg, to be honest. And he almost catches that probe off guard and takes it out, but looks like he's able to sneak out at the last second there. Yep, so we are going to see Stargate. At the very least, a Corsair will pop out. We'll see how dedicated he is to the cause. More lings are on the way at this point, and maybe that's not a 4th base, because I haven't seen it expand out into Zerg or into Creep yet. Maybe that's a neutral building. I have no idea, honestly. Oh, it's a neutral building. Duh. I was like, how did he get so close to the minerals? That explains everything. So we're just going to see 3 base. Okay, cool. For a second, I was like, this guy is insane. What does he think he's doing? That said, he might actually be able to use that to his advantage down the line. Well, nah, probably not. He's probably not going to use that. Lair is out with Hydra Den as well. I don't see a Spire, so it looks like he's actually opting to go for the Lurker route. He does clear out that scouting probe as well. And he's got Hydras on the way, so we're going to see 3 hatch Hydras, which is incredibly effective. We've seen it effective against a few builds, a few Protoss games so far. And it allows him to take out that Forge while it's upgrading, as well as a Gateway before it completes. And you can just snipe a cannon in like 10 shots total. Maybe it's a bit more than that. But it does go down very quickly. Corsair is going to spot this, but it may be too late. Oh, actually, he might not see... No, all right, I think he just saw the Hydra now. The question is, will he throw down any more cannons as a result? And so far, he has not. He is in trouble. With a single cannon, this will be taken out with no problem from the Zerg player Zero. More Overlords are popped at the last second here to try to get some more Hydras out on the field as quick as possible. And the second cannon goes down, but not before the Hydras arrive at the base. And he starts taking down and focusing down on the Zealots. The first 2 go down. He takes down the cannon as well. 3rd, 4th. All 4 units are down. There is nothing left but probes to defend this. Well, Zealot pops out and he's like, Kamikaze, yo. Gets taken out. And that's game. GG from Tyson. So Tyson ends up going 2-1. And Zero is the new king of the hill. And we'll have to see how Zero does in game number 4. Coming up next. Not bad. And here we go into game number 4. Zero versus Busan on... What map is this? It's not Circuit Breaker. I don't actually know. Let me take a quick look at that. I'm sure it says it over here. Neo Electric Circuit. Boogie, woogie, woogie. And Tyson is not who's playing. It says Tyson. It's Busan. Oh, it's Match Point. Last game was on Neo Electric Circuit. It was not on Circuit Breaker. My bad. So I messed that up. And now they're playing on Match Point. And I do know Match Point. Okay, so it's like the base over here, second base is over here, third base is like way up here. Yeah, okay. I remember this. And it's a 2-player map, 2-spawn map. So they'll know exactly where they are. We are going to see the Forge Fast expand from Busan. And Zero, again, has a 73% win rate against Protoss. And he's looking to cushion that a bit more. So, yeah. Sorry for the map confusion here. And Busan would like to dethrone Zero, but honestly, I find it unlikely that Zero is going to lose to any Protoss, which is good for their lineup because 3 out of the 4 players are Protoss. So if he can beat C as well, who's the Terran, who would be next if he does beat Busan, Zero can close out this entire game, which would be pretty incredible. And I think it ends up. I think it goes as many games as it takes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I guess it's 7 games to see who wins, or potentially 8. Actually, I don't know. I think it's until all 4 players are eliminated. So however many games that takes, which could take up to 7 or 8, something like that. So what were we talking about while we wait for this game to get started? Let me go back to chat over here. Hey, Neofs, good to see you, man. Hope you're having a good night. Cheers to you guys. Looks like the probe is going to do a pretty good harassment here, stopping that from going down. And oh, he gets the kill! And it looks like the other drone is out for blood, but instead he takes the minerals to the grave with him and morphs into a hatchery. So that is a solid feeling right there. Anytime you can get a drone kill with a probe, oh my god. It's just like there's a subreddit called Oddly Satisfying, and if I could turn that into a GIF, I would totally do that and post it there and be like, oh yes, it feels good. And on top of all of that, the probe gets to continue scouting around and see what's up in the base here. So super value right there. And the Forge Fast expand is well on the way. Gateway's going down to block off that cannon at this point. And it looks like that probe could even escape to get home, but he's going to check for a third first. See, there's nothing there. Eventually. No, he gets taken out. No, the probe, the hero probe. He could have went home a war hero and been saluted. But instead, he dies out on the field of war, forgotten by all, with no grave marker even to document his sacrifice. With only the advisor to stand by and watch idly as he's powerless to change his fate. That got deep all of a sudden, actually. Maybe we should get back off of that topic. Expansion is done for the Zerg player. Lair is on the way, and third base is also halfway through. So Protoss at this point is getting the tech tree headed off in the right direction. Obviously with the Cybernetics core, can't really do anything else there if you're Protoss. Kind of a requirement in any build that goes past like the 10-minute mark. So Metalopolis, no, it's not Metalopolis, dude. It's Match Point. Yes. If someone made Brood War versions of old silly StarCraft 2 maps like Steps of War, they did. It's called Bloodbath. You remember that map? 64 by 64 tile set. Oh God. It's amazing. It amazed me that people were willing to play that. Like, that is the definition of masochism, I'm pretty sure. I just think about going into a 4 versus 4 bloodbath. You know someone's going to SCV rush you and cannon you, if not cannon across the map entirely. And there's nothing you can do but participate in the cheese. It's like cheese fest all over again, man. And there's plenty of wine to go with that cheese, that's for sure. I think 3 of the 4 players whine about people being cheesy. Another probe scout goes down. Once again, without honor. And we are going to see a Hydraless Den again. So Zero going the same exact build he went last time. 3-hatch Hydra. It worked well. If it's not broke, don't fix. And we're going to see a similar build from the Protoss, actually, for that matter. Actually, 4-hatch Hydra, potentially. That'll be interesting. So this might be a slightly later timed attack coming from Zero. But I would assume that means he's droning up more. We just continue to see drones being built here. That would certainly support it. Although some of them may be for sunken purposes. But he's got pretty good saturation at all his bases at this point. And, you know, when I used to play back in the day, and this will be a little embarrassing, but I'll say it anyway. When I used to play a lot of big game hunters back in the day, at 36 drones, you could, and you could actually do it a little bit less. They probably have a better time to like 32 or so. But with 36 drones, you could 5-hatch Hydra, non-stop, just full utilization of your larva. If you didn't upgrade, if you upgraded, you needed closer to 40 to be really effective. So I'm assuming that's actually the build he's going to go, something similar to that. Ah! What are we looking at here? It's like a Homo Superman type deal going on. I don't judge. Whatever floats your boat, just saying. He has stars for eyes, so, you know, kind of indicative of that lifestyle, perhaps. Zerg heading in for a free scout here with Speed Overlords. I'm wondering if he's debating going Hydra drop, actually. A Doom drop would be scary and hard to deal with as Protoss if he can beat out that Templar Archive. Against only speed lots, he'll be able to take that out fairly easily if he decides to go so. More cannons up front, so that's making drop tech look particularly appealing. Honestly, I would definitely be considering it. And it looks like at this point, Hydras are being pumped. Although we have some units running across the map to try to threaten pressure here. They'll be pretty upset to find that there are many Hydras there to greet him at the door. And that's going to force him to make some quick decisions of where do we go instead. Maybe he was looking for Scourge or Muta to pop out, but obviously he's not going to see that. Maybe hunt down some Overlords as a result. But Hydra Overlord, pretty good combo against Corsair. Hard to deal with. 4 Corsairs out of the field at this point. Maybe able to get a free Overlord or 2, but probably not worth the number of hits he's going to take. 4th base is being scouted out just in case something happens to be up there. He will find there is nothing there. He's down to 3 cannons, by the way, at the front. Or down to, he only has 3 cannons. And those will be taken out very quickly by Hydra. And to be honest, Hydra can get a very nice surround around that ramp. From the low ground, the ramp, and the high ground, all up in his face. Which will make it very difficult for this gentleman Protoss player to deal with. Once Zero decides to move out, it looks like he might be doing that right now. We do have what appears to be at least 2 control groups of Hydras heading across the map, and they'll be looking to intercept any Zealots and micro them down as best they can, which is fairly easy to do when the Zealot count is as low as it is, which is about 6 last we saw. Now, it may have been beefed up a little bit since then, and it looks like he is trying to intercept. He finds them, he sees them, he knows exactly where they are. Overlord gets taken out, maybe a little wary of DTs as he heads out as well. But it looks like he's trying to pincer these. Oh! He is going to get a couple of Corsairs. No Corsairs are had. None at all. I mean, Corsairs are fairly beefy. 180 hit points in total. Regenerating shields. +1 upgrades on those, by the way. So that harassment's pretty solid. And Poussin is staying in this. I mean, it looks like he's in rough shape. Especially now that Zerg appears to be going for a 4th base. And he does. He drops a hatchery down there, which pushes him up to a total of like 7 hatcheries now. 6 or 7. I think 7. So he will just continue to pump out the Hydras, and he did have an Evo chamber. The second upgrade is on the way for Protoss out of that Cybernetics core. I can't imagine it's still for Corsairs, but it's possible. Just not likely. And Hydras are hanging out in the main base or the 4th base to try to defend against anything that might be heading their way. There are Templar out in the field, so Poussin has survived until that point in the game, and that will make it much more difficult for the Zerg to push in without drop tech. And again, I feel like Doom Drop is really strong here, as long as Corsairs aren't there to greet the drop. Alternatively, Poussin has the option to storm Doom Drops fairly easily, if it's not a nice spread out drop. So he's gotta be on the lookout for that play as well. It's a solid counter to going the drop, just because it's hard to select all the units as they're popping out and still maintain the droppage of the Overlords. So it can be a bit shaky heading in there under that circumstance. Hydra's there to once again deter the Corsairs, and they do head back home, or at least partially towards home. And Zealots are out on the field checking for the top left base to be clear. Looks like Protoss is apparently going to take his third base, finally. While Zerg has been on 4 for a little while now. Although, in all truthfulness, he has only just begun to mine from it. So the benefit is only being had now. And typically there's a lag between mining, or the transfer of the drones and mining, where you actually take an income hit for a little while. If you guys have played, even if you're playing StarCraft 2 lately, you'll see the same thing. I was playing this past weekend, and I was getting pretty close to being mined out. Push in, by the way. It looks like some units are heading in for some harassment on the front door over here with lurker support. There is solid storms going down. There is support from the Templar and the Observer, but the Observer gets picked off. But he knows where the lurker are. But the lurker are pretty well spread, so it'll take 2 storms of each one in order to fully clear that out, and he's able to pick away at that pylon in the meantime. And Hydra is going in to snipe a couple of units. They do get a Templar at the cost of a couple of Hydra, but well worth it in most cases. So anyway, as I was saying, as you get mined out and you do a last-minute transfer, for the entire length of the transfer, and then however long it takes for everything to reacquaint themselves with the mineral patches, your income sucks, and you just feel like you can't build anything unless you've got some bank stored up, which is unlikely, because usually when the reason that you're reminded to expand is because you're out of minerals. You're like, crap, time to expand, time to go ferry over my units. And when you do that, the result is often a painful 30 seconds to 1 minute time period where you can't make anything. More lurkers being morphed in as he continues to push in the front door. There is one Templar out there to greet him, but it looks like the other one might be out of energy already. No more storms go. No, another storm does go off. Although units being dragged back into the little lurker defense going on there. Lurkers are repositioning themselves on the ramp to try to deal with this. And more Zerg units are beginning to stream in and also set up at the outside the main base of 0. Under Overlords, for that matter. Now, that might just be because of rallies, but it makes me wonder if he's considering heading out with a Doom Drop. Oh, beautiful storm! And indecision caused 0 a ton of his Hydras, although he's got plenty to back up here. And again, with another beautiful storm. These are getting super value for Poussin, which certainly is, again, keeping him in the space and pushes the Zerg back momentarily here. Decent number of Corsair. Looks like he's still on about 6 or 7 there, and that'll help against any Doom Drop in his main base, so he's worried about the same exact thing. He saw the Speed Overlords quite a while ago and realizes that there is obviously risk. Small Zealot force is heading over to the bottom right, but it looks like a Zergling or something will see that. He does. He probably gets taken out. No, they run by him. He also scouts out the Corsairs running around up there. So 0 should be able to defend in the bottom right without too much issue. In the meantime, he continues to head in. I'm curious if he's on Hive Tech or not. He does have +2 upgrade on his attack. Zealots also have +2 upgrade. And the Zealots actually go straight for the natural base of all places. But Hydras behind the mineral lines are going to make that really annoying to try to deal with, as he was actually using them in defense against Corsair. He also has a sunken in his main base, which is genius, by the way. I mean, it's one of those things that not enough players do, in my opinion. He does have Hive. He probably has Cracklings. He definitely has Speedlings. And those Speedlings, or maybe he's waiting for Crack to be complete. Once he gets that, it's going to be terribly difficult for the Protoss to head in there. Looks like he does not have Crack quite yet. It is one of the longer upgrades to get for Zerg, so it makes sense. And that deep lurker setup is still keeping Busan relegated to those 3 bases. But Zerg still being on 4, he's not moving in on 5th. Lurkers are pushing in at this point. It looks like they're going to get right on top of the Dragoons at this point and on top of the Nexus. I think they're also in range of that. Some units coming out to try to defend against this. Storm goes out and catches a few Lurkers in one Storm and a lot of Hydra, but the units continue to stream in 4-0. Look at that map. It is a river of yellowness. It's potentially a stream of pee. I don't know. What else is yellow and liquid? Not many things that we'd be talking about. And this base is going to be taken now. There's not going to be any way for him to defend against this. Crack appears to be complete at this point. So this base is going to drop very quickly. Not sure if he's got any melee attack upgrades on these Lings. No, he does not. They're all on the range attacks. And Gchi coming from Busan. So Zero goes up 2-0 and brings us to a game 5 in this 4v4 where he'll be facing off against C next in the next round. So GG to 0 and see you in game 5. Sorry about that. All right, game number 5 in 41 Live TV or Live 41 TV, whatever this thing is called. Their little pro league-ish type deal. And this is, again, King of the Hill format. So Zero stays on and he faces off against C, who in the return to Brood War, since I've started this year, January 1st with my first set of games, we've only seen C lose, which is unfortunate because C is a pretty cool guy, but he has not been performing. Obviously, he's still a pro, and he's still at any time could probably take out most people in their on good days. He's had a rough time. That said, let's look at some stats here. Zero against Terran is at a 48% win rate, which is consistent with what we've seen from a lot of other Zerg players. They struggle against Terran. C, on the other hand, is at a... let me look this up. 68% win rate against Zerg. And historically, C is at... What is he at historically? 65% win rate historically. Wow. Problem is, so back in the day, he was really, really consistent. But honestly, that's changed quite a bit, as you can tell. In recent years, I imagine he doesn't practice exactly as much as he used to, and he just struggles a bit here. So anyway, this is Neo, what did we call it? Neo Electric Circuit Breaker, something or other? Neo Electric Circuit. 4-player map. We thought it last game or in the second game or third game, whatever it was actually Circuit Breaker, but it is not. The tile set fooled me. And it's actually a different tile set for that matter. It's not even the same techno Metalopolis type style. Holy shit, I got the hiccups. Hold on a second. Alcohol will do that to you, apparently. Alrighty, so Terran player, top left, is against C in red. And Zero, returning champ here, 3-0, or 2-0, hoping to go 3-0, is trying to prove that he can, for one, beat Terran players and not just Protoss players, who he has an insane win rate against. And C is hoping to capitalize on the fact that people think he sucks now. Or at least I do, because I haven't seen him win in a long time. This is an interesting map where you've got this, like, strip of land here, this, like, landing strip leading up to the base. Let me bring up the map real quick. There's not going to be much going on for the early part of the game, most likely. Wait a second, this is not that map. Is it? No. Did they change it? It's a similar map, but it doesn't look like it's the exact same map as that. It's slightly different. It's like the positioning of the minerals are different. I don't know, maybe that's the Neo. No, this is not it. This is definitely not it. TL, you failed me. You have the wrong map name in this. It's not match point. Oh, maybe it's Neo Jade. Let me look that up real quick. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, okay, so they've got the wrong map name. It's actually Neo Jade. This is the map. And you can see here, you can't see me pointing, but I'm pointing at it anyway. It's got that long strip up front, where in the past we've seen Zerg make a hatchery actually to block it off, and like a sunken behind the hatchery because there's a big squarish alcove up there that you can utilize in the top left position. But it can also allow the Terran to push very easily. So, all right, let me move that back out of the way here so we can get back to the game. We are going to... Oh, but Zerg's bottom left, so it's a bit different than what I was saying anyway. And yeah, this has got to be Jade. Yeah, it is. Okay, so we got the right map here. Neo Jade! It's okay. Everybody makes typos every now and again. I'm sure I've done it on every other YouTube video I've ever made. A few Marines are heading in to harass the Zerg here. He does not have any units. He will also get a free scout and potentially get a drone killer too. He sees exactly what's going on with the 3 hatcheries, and he can force drones off gas momentarily at the very least, and maybe even get a free Zergling or 2. It looks like he is going to delay mine time as well, but at this point Zerglings have made it over to the base, and but this is a really solid delay by C, to be honest, this mining loss. And I think he killed 1 drone, if not 2. And it looks like C's going to back off from here. He has certainly put the Zerg player a bit behind. And he'll probably just enjoy his advantage from here. Spire is coming down for the Zerg player. But it should be mentioned that Terran does have his expansion up and running. So if he can scout this time... Now, he didn't see the Spire when he was going in there. But he can assume that a Spire is coming. And he does, and there's the engineering bay right there. Pretty standard response. Now, medics, fire bats, and Marines are heading out to deal with Zerglings. And unfortunately for Zero, he loses almost all of them that are out on the map to this. And now he's forced to drop down 3 Sunkens. But honestly, I think he's going to do 4, if not 5, to try to protect against this. What is he doing with that drone? Why is he not building anything? You're running out of time, dude. You do not have enough Sunkens to deal with this. If the firebat goes in first and can take some extra hits. And it looks like an Evo Chamber is going to try to block this. But he cancels it and realizes that that's kind of dumb. Not going to do what he wants it to do. Now, the force here is actually a little small for what should be going across the map. Usually it's more like 12 Marines. But it looks like he kept a couple back in his base to deal with any Ling run-bys. Which 2 Lings here are not going to do very much. And they are going to get caught. So he's forced a response in terms of drone expenditure into making Sunkens, which is often the only goal of the Terran anyway when moving across with that force. If you can blow through that base, great. If not, you force him to spend 3 drones and the resources, of course, to make those different buildings. And he begins to back off and regroup so he can clear out any other drones, any other Zerglings running around the map. And at this point, C has got a pretty decent set of turrets down around the base, which will be a strong deterrent against Mutaplay. Looks like that one Overlord is going to scout the fact that there are turrets down in the base. We are going to see Mutas come out in the map. But it feels a little late. Now, certainly he can still be very effective with this, but once you see turrets and Marines under him, this becomes incredibly difficult to execute on. Now, it looks like he may catch some units out in the middle. No, he does not. He might have gotten a kill. Scan goes down to see where they are heading. He gets a pretty good eyeful and catches him off at the pass and gets a free Muta. That's a pretty solid pickup, to be honest. I mean, really. Lings do get a free firebat, so unfortunately for that firebat, he is exploded. And looks like the Mutamicro is beginning to hit here. He gets 3, if not 4 SCVs there. He tries to continue in a bit here with a few more. But he's going to struggle to get any super value out of this with the full control group of Marines in the natural basis mineral line. Looks like he does get another one, but potentially at the expense of a Muta or 2 as he continues to do this. He does get a free Marine as well. And no, he's getting some pretty good value, actually. Terran, on the other hand, is again going to potentially push out a second time against Zero. He does get some free Lings again, as Zero is clearly focused on microing his Muta and loses some APM capacity to deal with the Zerglings out on the map, of course. But not a huge loss. I mean, nobody cries over lost Zerglings. Science Facility is coming down to this point, so we will see Science Vessels in the very near future. And Irradiate is very strong against packed up mutas, as well as lurkers, of course. So he'll be able to defend against that. He does drop down a bunker up front, just in case there are any massive attacks coming down the front door, which will help him against muta harass, as well as general ling lurker pushes. He also has some vultures coming out with spider mines to try to deal with Dark Swarm. So he must have scanned and seen that there is a hive tech completed and potentially a defiler's mounted on the way, but we haven't actually, or at least I haven't noticed it myself yet. Lurker egg blocking the ramp here. That'll probably get canceled at the last second. Marines will take 2.5 days to take out an egg, of course. There is the defiler's mount, so he would have had to assume that that was coming next. And it looks like that was a strong assumption. And that egg is being stimmed down, and he doesn't cancel it. Or maybe he did. I can't tell, actually. Muta continuing to try to take that out to protect that base. But again, every time they go in against Marines with range and stim, it's at a high cost. For health, anyway. Keep in mind, they don't have that same regen ability that StarCraft 2 Muta have, which is insanity. And now he's engaging directly on top of him. He loses a couple of muta in the deal, but he takes out all of the Marines and the medevacs, or medics, which is certainly a solid trade at this point in the game. Because the muta start to fall off at this point as well, when the Marine pack gets large enough to get in the face of the Zerg. So Zerg is pushing out with some Sunkens just to ensure creep spread and vision and general delay tactics against anything like Marines pushing in or tank trying to push up. And he's got some lurkers behind them as well. And Skurs to deal with the upcoming science vessel that he's probably aware of. Well, he's seen it for now, for sure. A free lurker is had out on the field. Another couple lurkers are being distracted, actually, pretty well by those vultures. But, man, it is hard to go up or down a ramp with Marines against vultures. And he's probably going to be forced to irradiate these in order to actually go all the way up or down that ramp. Third base is on the way for C at this point, and 0 is also on 3 bases, except his is already done in mining. And he's got Nidus Tech to try to defend back and forth over there. And actually, it looks like Terran's taking a 4th base at the top right, which is a little risky, but honestly, if you can sneak it in, more power to you. Looks like a Zergling may scout this out, though. Patrol goes, far enough, and he is on top of that, and he'll force that cancel on that building just by itself, it appears. He's chasing the SCV off. They're not looking at that at all, but I find that much more entertaining than anything else at the moment. So C might try to defend that after all, but no. The Zergling heads back to go deal with that. Spider-Mine is going off, but being taken care of by Zerglings for good value for the Zerglings, of course. And that base has not been canceled yet in the top right. He may be trying to defend. Nope, there you go. Canceled. So C is at 3 bases, but 3 base versus 3 base, Terran versus Zerg is in favor of Terran. So he's not in a bad spot here at all. And the Spider Mines are going to be really effective against Lurkers. I think they one-shot the Filers, but not Lurkers. Or maybe they one-shot Lurkers. We'll find out in a second here. Well, they at least 3-shot him, I guess. And that is a huge loss. Oh, beautiful job right there. Was that a plague? No, no plague. Irradiate does go down on the Defiler. And yes, Spider Mines do appear to one-shot the Lurkers, which is huge. And I don't know if there might be 1 Lurker left there, actually, and that's it. So this is going to be a struggle to defend. And drop play coming in the main base, going after a couple of free overlords anyway to begin with before heading across the map and potentially taking out a Spire, if not a Hydralisk Den, which will certainly be a pain in the ass for him to deal with. Defiler is in the main base to try to help defend against this. Stim goes down. He's going to try to get a couple free drones. He does. Unfortunately for him, he's not focusing down any buildings, and he's at risk at losing that force if he's not careful. And he goes for the Spire, which is, of course, expensive and takes a lot of resources and time to rebuild. And this force over here, staying alive. Staying alive. Dead. He's not staying alive anymore. But he did manage to draw a lot of the forces back for 0. And that may open up a potential for him to move in on the bottom right. And again, he stopped delaying, he delayed mining for a while there. He took out 4 drones or so. And that is always a pain in the ass when you're a Zerg, so solid play there. Ling run by doesn't get anywhere across the map. There are plenty of Marines there to greet him. Spider Mine is being taken out by large groups of Zerglings, so ineffective overall. But he does manage to clean everything up, and it allows him to get a run by with planting another mine over here to take out a potential lurker or two, and he looks like he's going to get some free drones in the process of this. Zerglings funneling out of that Nidus Canal at this point, but not before he gets what appears to be like 4 or 5 drone kills. And now he's heading back across the base with some Marines to continue to do more damage. And oh my goodness, what did that spider mine hit? If it hit the lurker, that could be huge. And I don't know what it did hit. 3 science vessels coming out across the map. 1 is taken out by Scourge. Irradiate did go down before he was taken out, though, which is certainly effective. And it looks like the Defiler is taken out by Irradiate, as well as a couple of lurkers. So this will be good value for the science vessels. Irradiate is, of course, magic energy that regenerates and has no costs to spend compared to what we're seeing here. What is this level 6, level 8 stuff? I have no idea. Terran's starting to take pretty good control of this map. Zero is struggling to get any macroeconomic situation going here, and Irradiates continue to plague the Zerg player, and he does not plague the Marines. Scourge do try to come out and take out those science vessels, and it's starting to feel like this game is slipping out of the hands of Zero. I mean, I'll be honest, he felt behind before, but it feels like he's lost it at this point. However, a solid plague or two can certainly get him back in the game, although wasting it on vultures is not optimal by any stretch of the imagination. Sweaty Hand C, yes, that's right! Thank you, I totally forgot about that. He is Sweaty Hand C. Why was he Sweaty Hand C? Oh, because he was always wiping his hands off on stuff, wasn't he? Like, just constantly, like... Attack going in to take out a free lurker at the top right side of the base. Nothing goes down there, so not much to talk about. And Terran continues to just beef up his forces. He's got essentially 5/6 of the map under control at this point, with only a couple of units here they're heading out, which eventually end up getting cleaned up anyway. And once again, he looks like he is pushing across the map, this time with a solid force of tanks to back up that Marine medic force. And he's going to go straight for the main this time. Now, there will be slight delays from those Sunkens and Defilers to Dark Swarm the crap out of things. Scourge take it out before they can get anywhere near the science vessels. And this is probably GG one way or the other here. Wow! All right, so we do see the Defense Matrix Firebat hero of sorts as he runs in and deals with the units under the Dark Swarm fairly effectively. Plague does go down over most of the Marines. That is going to drain the medics of their energy because they're not really paying attention. You've got to always pull them out, otherwise they'll go down to 0 energy. But C don't care. He's just going, tide's coming in, buddy. Watch out. You'll get swept up with it. And he is pushing in. This time he's transitioned to not only tanks, but metal in general, which is going to be very strong against pretty much anything for the Zerg. More consumes go down to try to buy some time here, but it's going to be too little, too late. We do see some lurkers come in, and they are going to be able to take out a couple of the Marines here. He scans, and I'm not sure how he's planning on taking them out. He is going to have to back up. More Dark Swarm goes down, but lurkers are going to be hesitant to pop out. Under Dark Swarm, they can be taken out by Splash, but not if they're burrowed. So once they unburrowed, they give it up, and the delay ends. Looks like more units are heading across to the right side of the base. Those must be SCVs to continue mining. A lot of Marines do get cleaned up here, but with 6 factories, 7 factories, this is being reinforced with metal instead of Marines very quickly. And, I mean, they're going to be able to take care of Lings incredibly quickly. A couple of units will be lost here to lurkers, it looks like, but not terribly inefficient overall. And the push is being continued in 2 locations at this point. The Fence Matrix goes down on a Vulture at this point, and Gchi, coming from 0, who doesn't even want to deal with the game because he realizes it is too far gone for him to try to get back in this. So C actually wins the first game that we've witnessed, or I've witnessed this year, and he will move on to game number 6. Alrighty, game number 6 incoming. Jang versus C, PVT, and this will be the game if C wins this. This will be the match, set, point, whatever you want to call it, because in this match we have... I'm sorry. Jang versus C, who is... We'll just show you real quick. Gchi, Piano, 0 have all lost. Jang is the last hope for Woonjin Stars. An NBC game is only on C, so they've still got Jaehoon, even if they lose this, to go up against Jang in a PVT. Jang struggled in his Terran matches in the SSL, going up against guys like Mind, who is definitely a top-tier Terran. Now, Piano, or C on the other hand, I would not call a top-tier Terran, but often you see players just struggle with a race in general. So, going back to the stats here a bit, if we look at Jang, he's got a 45% win rate against Terran, and C has a 60% historical win rate against Protoss. However, in recent matches, he's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's actually 70% win rate against Protoss. So, I mean, things look good for... Whoa! He goes fast racks. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. There's a supply depot up there. My bad. I was like, what? 8 racks into gas? Okay. We're doing this. But it looks like, yeah, they are playing on Neo Jade again, I think. Yeah. I had something I was going to say. Now I totally forgot what it is. Unimportant. It looks like we're going to see pretty standard build coming from the Terran player to start. And Jang scouting around fairly early. He wants to make sure he gets in there and sees what's going on as quick as possible. He's got his gateway going down and apparently his cybernetics core on the way. So potentially going for a fairly aggressive build here against the, especially with that early scout. It's indicative of Dragoon with range pressure, if not fast Reaver, and potentially even proxy Reaver. But I would assume he's going to go for Dragoons with range over anything else. He will spout the factory on the way down. It is 2 gates, so we are going to see Dragoons with range. And there it goes, spinning around. Thank you, Cybernetics Core. I am out. Nothing left but ice. We'll get to that later. Let it melt a bit. So yeah, Terran's going to have to figure out how he can defend against this aggression with his factory. He is not walled off. It's hard to wall off because it's actually a ramp going up, which is not favorable to a Terran player, of course. So the map in itself actually gives some advantage to the Protoss player. Whereas a map like Fighting Spirit, you've got the small ramp. Trying to get up, it can be difficult with fat Dragoons, and the wall can be right up against the ramp. So you only even have room for 1 or 2 Dragoons to get up there and take direct shots on any units or any buildings that are in that vicinity. Whereas here, they can actually attack from high ground if you try to wall off from the bottom. So typically nobody walls off from the bottom. And this is going to get scouted by the Terran player. He's going to, at the very least, see the single Dragoon, which is not indicative of the build exactly. It's incredibly common to go Dragoon first. He is going to scout the fact that there was supposed to be a proxy pylon going down, and this actually puts Jang in a fairly awkward position. His plan has been given up, although he continues to go for it. It looks like he's going to be forced to cancel again here as that gets spotted, although maybe he's trying to drag the Marines out of the way. It looks like that's the case, and Dragoons may head over to the other side of the map and head into the main base. More pylons are going down, and it looks like we are going to see a proxy somewhere. And it's very interesting that instead of taking out that pylon, Terran decides to move back. I guess he was aware of the bait. He sniffed it out. but not before losing all of his Marines to the Dragoons. And honestly, Terran player is in a lot of trouble here. C is going to struggle trying to defend this, especially with solid. I mean, so the Dragoons know where the mines are. He takes all of them out, and he is going to take out the SCV as well. And as long as he micros this effectively, he should be able to break through this this minor mine defense. Whatever. He's probably going to actually go for a quick observer over anything else, I would think. And C is determined to get this expansion up and running. However, he's in a weird spot here trying to do that. Dragoons on the ramp are going to be in a slightly weird spot here. Looks like that robo facility is going to be scattered out. Machine shop is unfortunately in range of the Dragoons, and more are on the way. Looks like, oh, that was a poorly microed attack here, and they're going to get hit by another. Oh my god, that was close. They almost get hit by another spider mine right outside their base, and they took a lot of damage just getting outside their base. That's unfortunate. But pretty solid support here of Dragoons. Very, very strong force heading over against a single tank and a couple of vultures. If he can take out that vulture, that's pretty solid. And it looks like a Nexus is going down, an expansion for the Protoss, which puts Jang in a pretty good position, to be honest. I mean, moving out against the Terran, you always want to be a base up. He's got an observatory out at this point as well, so he is going to go for the mine clearage over any sort of Reaver-type play. And he can make a quick shuttle to drop, whether it's Zealots or Dragoons, right on top of those tanks. So here comes the observer, and he can begin clearing out the mines up and around this base. But he may hold off. I'm curious how he's going to run into this. I mean, a couple of tanks will deal with a lot of units running down the ramp, especially if they're going into spider mines. Oh no! He does take a big hit there from another mine. That's unfortunate. But all of the mines at this point have been cleared anyway outside of his main base. So I guess that's a silver lining. Although it sucks that you have to clear them with your face, of course. Got some Jangby fans up in this place. That's good. Looks like this first tank is going to be sniped pretty quickly. He does not get a solid shot on those Dragoons. Good value is had there. Very worthwhile trade. Still only 2 tanks out on the base. Looks like they're going to move up to closer position, but they can get sniped again, and he sees them getting into position with that observer. However, he's not going to be able to get into position himself in time to deal with this. And he is struggling to move out here. We do see the robotic support bay at this point, so a Reaver will most likely be dropping in soon. There are some minor turret defenses here, but still, this is a huge delay to the Terran player trying to secure that expansion, and that is always a frustrating place to be in. And with that observer in the base, he's going to continually be able to reposition those Dragoons to delay and delay and delay and delay before tanks have made it all the way up the ramp and secured locations here. A couple of Zealots are going to drop in here after all, and the shuttle heads over to pick them up while the Reaver is completed. Reaver completes, he picks them up first after all, grabs the Zealots that are on their way and in transit, and heads up to try to do some damage. Now, all of the forces are at the front of the base for C, which may make him very exposed to drop play here. However, there are a lot of turrets and a nice perimeter set up here to try to deal with this. And instead, it looks like he's considering going in the front door with these to support the frontal attack of Dragoons, as he drops a couple of Zealots and gets a beautiful shot off on those Vultures with the Reaver. And he's trying to apparently micro in between tank shots here with that Reaver. But he's taking heavy casualties with these goons going up against tanks. But he's done enough damage to delay that expansion even more. And in the meantime, he's getting down to third base of his own, albeit at the expense of some Dragoon harassment inside of his base, but that should be taken care of very shortly. C continues to try to defend this, and finally it looks like those Vultures are going to be cleaned up before they can do any more damage. The Reaver continues to move in and gets the tank and another Vulture, and he has continued to keep the Terran to single base while he goes on to 3. And this is going to become a runaway game very shortly as, oh, beautiful job right there with the Reaver drop and trying to drop in between tank shots. He does exactly that, clears out another tank, and he's getting super value from those Dragoons. And if he can do it again, well, he doesn't decide to do it again, so that's okay. Another Reaver is out on the field at this point. Interesting that he decided to go 2 Reavers. I'm actually curious why I didn't just switch into full-on ground forces to try to, just close out the game. But if he can get value out of these, it's very worthwhile. Now, the turret spread is weak. It looks like there might be a spot to drop directly on top of that tank and take out. Yeah, that's exactly what he does. He drops both, and he goes for the far one, which allows him to take out the close one. Number 1 goes down. Number 2 goes down. Number 2 goes down, and now he's able to take out both the turret and all the SCVs here with solid reverb placement and Gchi coming from C. So we are going to go on to a game number 7, and beautiful play, by the way, by the Protoss player, Jang. Dream.T Jang. So see you in game number 7. Welcome to the ace match of Jang versus Jaehoon. Let me check the colors here before I screw anything up because I have a history of doing that at this point. And I have no colors here. Son of a bitch. Oh, I do. All right, good. They put it in. Jang is in the red. No, I'm sorry, the orange. The orange. And Jaehoon is the red. No, the yellow. I really might be colorblind. I gotta like look into this in the next couple of months and find out if I can't tell colors. So it's yellow and red. Jang is yellow and Jaehoon is red. So we're looking at Jaehoon down here in the bottom left, and Jang is in the top right in what appears to be Fighting Spirit, the ace match map of choice. And on top of all that, we end the series how we started, with a PvP between one of the greats and one of the not-so-bads, Jaehoon. I wonder how both these guys do in PvP. Let's take a quick look here as we wait for things to get up and running. So Jang's got a historical PvP rate of 70% in recent months anyway. And Jaehoon is at a 65%. So both players very good at the mirror matchup. Either of those win rates would be considered enough to take a game at any time from any other Protoss in the world when at the pro level. I don't know why I keep trying to drink that. That is empty. I got a rib crib cup from when I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, this is where we gain weight, boys. You just go down to rib crib, get some barbecue. It's actually pretty good. It's like the chain version of barbecue down there. And the chain version of barbecue is like the convenience store version of sushi in Japan. Even though it's a convenience store, it's Japanese sushi, so it's still amazing. It's like comparable to restaurant grade sushi here. It's amazing. I want to go back there. I don't think I'll get back there this year, though. Anyway, to start off, it looks like both players have gone for the standard tech tree build. We're not going to see any crazy 2-gate zealots or proxy zealots or nutso stuff like that. And we're also not going to see any crazy cheese locking in probes in the different alcoves here of, the mineral lines, which is common on these types of maps where you get, in these you only get a couple. Hey! K-Man Rambo! Thank you for following the pub. Cheers to you, and I hope you enjoy your stay. The soundbite was particularly appropriate in this PvP, as that is a sound that I hear repeatedly in playing StarCraft. In Brood War, or I'm sorry, in StarCraft 2, my personal, how they give you your personal ratings or your personal average, I guess. So you beat your average or whatever. My time supply capped is always like 3 minutes or above. I'll do well in most of my games, but I'm terrible at making pylons on time or anything for that matter. I play random, or anything of that for that matter. So I hear it constantly of you require additional pylons. And then I keep building stuff without ever making pylons. It doesn't make sense. Whatever. Anyway, Dragoons are out on the field and they're going to kiss in the middle. Nope, they decide to back off and go back to the high school wall where they came from. It's like a high school dance. That was the reference. If anyone ever watched Saved by the Bell, you would know exactly what I was talking about. If not, sorry. You're too young. Well, that's got to be something that happens in every high school generation anyway. The boys, the boys are lined up on this wall, the girls are lined up on that wall, and you end up with this awkward center of nothingness that you'd see me dancing in by myself because just getting down, like don't care. And we do see an expansion go down for who is yellow again. I don't want to mess this up, so I'm going to double check. I think it's Jangbi. It is Jangbi. I got it right. Jangbi goes for the preemptive expansion, whereas the tech build, or the tech route, is what we see coming out of Jae-hoon here, going for that robo facility, predating the facility of Jangbi. And this could work out in either player's favor. It all depends on how you capitalize on this. If no capitalization is had, Jangbi's ahead. Very simple. Especially if you see him go observer first, which he does. This means that Jangbi is likely to be ahead at this point because he is not in danger of any harassment, and any timing attack will have long passed by the time Reavers are ready to go with this type of attack coming from Jae-hoon. And instead, Jae-hoon does get his expansion after, but again, it's kind of like going Overpool versus 12 hatch. 12 hatch beats Overpool because by the time you get units over there, you lose that benefit in transit, right, from this side of the map to that side of the map. It's similar here. I mean, one went for the tech versus the expansion, whereas Jangbi went the expansion first, at no loss for going tech. But whoa! Cancel! What is going on here? He canceled his Nexus! Holy crap, Jae-hoon is way behind now. So Jangbi may have the win coming out here for Woonjin Stars, as he has not only got his expansion up officially, it's been up, and it looks like he forced a panic cancel coming from Jae-hoon, which is a terrible play. Why would he do that? You never want to cancel a Nexus if you don't have to. I mean, honestly, I wonder if he fat-fingered it, which is rare, incredibly rare for pro players. But why else would you do that? One unit coming in is not enough. I mean, honestly, you want it to absorb shots. If anything, if you feel you're behind, you leave it up to take shots and cancel it at the last second. But instead, he fully cancels it with no transition plan to be had, no base, no 3-gate build going on inside the base. And he's officially behind here. Jangbi's in a strong position, and we saw fairly strong play from Jangbi when he was, and he gets a free observer too, when he was going up against Free and Mind. So Free kept beating Mind in that ridiculous over and over tiebreak series we watched, where they went through tiebreaks like 3 times in a row. Free was beating Mind, and Jangbi was beating Free repeatedly. And then Mind was beating Jangbi. It was this crazy rock, paper, scissors relationship until Free broke that 6 cycle of pain. And yeah, players are just at this point macroing up. And again, the longer this game goes, up until a point anyway, the more, I guess, just edge Jangbi has on it in terms of unit count, the economic advantage that he's been banking for a while. Reavers are out at pretty much the same time, so that tech advantage is completely gone for Jae-hoon, in part because he took that loss of 33% of minerals spent into that Nexus he invested, he canceled and rebuilt, which is incredibly unfortunate. But it looks like, no, he does have 2 Reavers out on the field, so I misspoke. I apologize. But I don't think it's the game swinger right here. We are going to see a Citadel come out, so we'll probably see some Templar play from Jangbi. He is the Storm Toss, so it's only fair that he does go Storm. Makes a lot of sense. Hey, Relentless, good to see you, man. Failhoon, that is right. That was a fail. I agree in every sense of the word, Failhoon. That's pretty intense. And looks like Jae-hoon feels the pressure as a result of the failure, and he's heading across the map to try to get some pressure, at the very least, on Jangbi here. But I'm not sure he's going to be able to do too much work. Running up, Bermuda is not Jangbi. Bermuda is Jae-hoon, just so you know. That's a good question, though. Hey, Duke Phoenix, good to see you, man. I don't think I said hello before. I apologize. And Thy Randall. I think I got everybody else right. Greeting from Australia. What are you doing? Shouldn't you be at work or something? Isn't it like time to go to work? What is it? 9 a.m. for you or something? You should be working. Or maybe at school. I don't know. I have no idea how old you are. You might be retired for all I know. All right, Reaver's heading in to deal with a pylon. Problem is here. Oh, I wonder if the other Reaver took a shot from that. Good Reaver micro from both players at this point. Looks like they are trading scarabs, and that is it. Something was just getting shot at. I have maybe it looks like an observer is inside the base of Jangbi. And now Jangbi is kind of stuck in his base. It's difficult to move out across this ramp into Reavers and Dragoons, but he may do it anyway. We're only seeing 4th and 5th gateways coming up now for Jaehoon, whereas Jangbi's been on 3 for a while, and he's getting 4 and 5 up himself as well. Which puts him in, I would say, probably a much higher ground army count in general than we're seeing from Jaehoon, which would, of course, be the benefit of having that expansion running for so much longer. Reavers out on the field, 2 shuttles for both players, which will allow for double the micro and double the fun. But, of course, he's got to... Ooh. Oh! He may drop a Zealot or 2 to absorb some shots here from the Reavers before dropping his own. No, he's actually going to sneak out with 1 and try to do some harassment while appearing to be stuck inside of his base. So clever play from Jangbi going for the split here. He is going to encounter a cannon as well as a pylon to scout this. And it looks like once he sees that, he backs up and then recommits. Oh, he drops a DT! Hey, he went DT! I didn't even know he made DTs. There are 3 Reavers out, by the way, at this point for Jangbi. Compared to the 2 that we see from Jaehoon. And an Archon. A random Archon out on the field. Not particularly effective against Dragoon Reaver, but hey, why not? Doesn't feel like Stormin, I guess. I wonder if he made those with Templar or Dark Templar, by the way. That's kind of a good question. Going up to 7 or 8 gates at this point for Jaehoon. And we're at a similar position with 7 gates at this point for Jangbi. He's also, I thought he was taking out his own pylon for some reason. He is going to start looking at working on his 3rd and trying to take out some random pylons there. And both players kind of backing off at this point, which opens the door for Jangbi to do some additional harassment. However, I feel like he's going to struggle here now that the DTs have been spotted. I mean, obviously that spells harassment, clearly. And we do see regular Templar out on the field for Jaehoon. But 2 Archons. This is a really strong armed force, or ground force for Jangbi, and I think he can push through here, even against... I mean, there has to be some truly clutch storms out of only 2 Templar. There might be a couple more there for this to be really effective. And it looks like he's got a strong timing here with the Nexus being dropped down as we speak. A dropship is coming out. I'm not sure where that dropship is heading. Looks like he's heading down to the 6 o'clock location. Maybe to check for things there. Or no, he's going for the double drop. And he is trying to force himself up to the 9 o'clock location while at the same time dropping in the main base. And he does nothing with the 1. No DTs even get dropped, and it looks like that must have been the DT if the DT shuttle if he actually had that. And he is struggling to break that 9 o'clock position as well. It was. So Reavers are being dropped, and they're going to be taken out, unfortunately for them, without taking out much outside of a couple of units. So he forces his way into the 9 o'clock here and tries to take that out in exchange. Well, we're dropping some frames, but hopefully we can get through the rest of this cast anyway. Looks like we are going to see the battle commence. We've backed up a little bit here to try to not miss too much. Reavers are in the back firing upon the forces of Jangbi as he tries to push in here, which means he's taking heavy damage for free, essentially, against those scarabs. He does manage to pick off the Reavers, but at heavy cost incurred. But still, he is and has been mining on 3 bases, or for 2 bases for a while. Which I would say even still he's probably a bit ahead, but it looks like Jaehoon has started to even things out here, and I am continuing to drop frames. It appears So I'm not sure we'll be able to continue this cast for too long. It's probably stuttering like crazy for you. So we'll continue. We'll finish out this this today anyway. And I apologize for those of you watching live. I'm actually going to switch internet providers soon because I'm sick and tired of this. To be honest, it happens on occasion, and it's crazy. We're fine all night, and then like all of a sudden 10:30 hits, and bam! Every freaking night at 10:30, the connection sucks for whatever reason. Someone's watching a lot of porn somewhere on my block, and it's just dragging everyone down because they like their porn HD, I guess. Something like that. So we might be dropping some frames throughout the rest of this, but again, I apologize. But Jang, well, once he's been pushed back here, he's actually in pretty rough shape, and he's moved to a Zealot Archon Force for the most part, which could be good depending on if there's Reavers or not. We are going to see a big storm drop here, and Jangby's going to be forced to make a decision, push in and get value out of what he's got now, or forfeit the game essentially. But there are so many forces out here for Jaehoon. I think he may have already knocked himself out of this game, and I think he's going to find a difficult time to get back in. He does appear to be getting his own third base, but he should have done this earlier when he had attacked, and instead he's finding himself falling behind. And that last storm drop right there might have been the icing on the cake to really send Jangby into full tilt here. And Jangby is backing up, actually. He's going back to defend rather than try to push in right now to try to maintain any amount of forces that he does currently have for a large attack at the end. Now, upgrade... Ooh, another storm goes down. Upgrade-wise, he's at +1 attack. I'm kind of curious what the units are for Jaehoon. He's at +2 attack, so even the upgrades are also in favor of Jaehoon at this point. And this could be it. I mean, this looks like there's a small force going over here to investigate things in the 3 o'clock location. Might be able to get a good amount of damage if it's not scattered out by Jangby. And he's got plenty of units at home, so even if Jangby went for a counterattack, he'd be fine. There's a single cannon there to defend against things, but probably not going to be enough. Jangby does go for a storm drop of his own, but it looks like it's not enough, and he's going to lose the base here. I don't think he actually has... No, that DT is not actually being discovered at the moment, and that might be enough to take this out, unless he tries to do some crazy splash damage attack. Here comes the Observer. Is it going to be in time? It looks like yes. He barely saves that Nexus from going down, but he did incur some fairly decent loss as a result. Now, he got a good storm off himself, but at this point, I think the value has already been had. So it's going to be rough for Jangby to stay in this at this point, and we might have the last battle coming up here. A large force for Red coming across. Jaehoon's got a massive force with a lot of Templar there. Whereas Jangby, on the other hand, is basically still on his Zealot Archon with not too much behind it. He does have some Dragoons and Templar mixed in for himself as well. And a couple of Reavers are in the main base. And I am lagging here on my end. It looks like the video itself is kind of lagged from their original recording. And this could be it. This could be the final battle. Big storm going off for both players. It looks like Jangby got a pretty good, solid set of storms there. We're seeing a very good, solid set of storms, actually, for Jangby. But the Archons are going down, and his forces are dwindling. And Jangby, GG's. So that will be it. And that means that Woongjin Stars are going to take this game. Or, yeah, I mean, no, I'm sorry. NBC Game takes the game. Let me see. Who won that? Jangby was on... Woongjin Stars. Okay, so Jaehoon takes the game and wins the ace match for NBC Game in this 4 vs 4 clan series. So very solid finish there for both players. Pretty good PvP match. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And there's another series that they've got coming up, so it'll certainly be something that I cast in the near future. See you then. GG.